we're going to have a prayer offered by our own Mr. Dale Van Dyke.
Let's bow our heads. Let us give thanks today as we honor our members of our first Athletic Hall of Fame class. Let us celebrate their achievements and contributions to the rich athletic history here at Menominee. Bless this food we're about to receive, and let it nourish and strengthen us. Let us give thanks to the hand that prepared it, and let us remember who made this day, and let us rejoice and be glad in it. Amen.
Hall of Fame Board of Directors, I want to welcome everybody here to the initial inaugural induction ceremony of the Menominee High School Athletic Hall of Fame. Yes, I am going to provide a few announcements, some thank yous, and so bear with me here. But just on behalf of the Board of Directors, of which I do want to recognize here, if they could stand because we're all present. John Wills is our Executive Secretary. John Mans is one of our Vice Presidents. Owen Peterson is our Vice President. Our Treasurer is Jamie Schober. Way back in that Yeah, okay. And again, my name is Randy Demeuse. I'm President of the Board of Directors. Thank you everybody for being here. And on behalf of the Board of Directors, we are sincerely honored and humbled to be in the presence of our 12 inductees this evening, as well as everybody here who call them faithful followers of Maroon sports and here to celebrate today's special occasion. Thank you all for being here. I have one announcement, and as you came into the room this evening, you may have noticed one of our inductees from the 67 basketball team, Bill Jones, has a table set up next to the registration table. He is selling these commemorative 1967 state championship booklets that they had produced last year. They are $25 a piece. All proceeds go to the scholarship fund that the 67 team has developed. Further, there's a pamphlet that you could also get over by this table. And Bill, if you can stand up, please, just so everybody knows who we're looking for. But if you're interested in purchasing a booklet or getting one of these pamphlets, you can donate to their scholarship fund. And Bill, I know it's kind of off the cuff, but I imagine there's a recipient of the 67 scholarship this year already.
There will be, I think it's in a week and a half, they're having the senior recognition night. We gave away a scholarship last year, so this will be the second.
Okay. Well, anyways, yes. So anybody who is interested in contributing or buying a book, this is a fantastic keepsake for $25, so thank you. First thing, we need to give a shout out to the staff at Riverside. What an excellent Maroon English style meal that they provided us. My goodness. If we walk away hungry tonight, it's our own fault. I could not put down a plate of food. So my plate of food is still over there, but I will be eating shortly. Second, thank you. As we walk into this venue this evening, we need to give a huge round of applause to a group of ladies that I'm going to call the Maroon Mamas. They are not a motorcycle name, okay? The Maroon Mamas are the gals that expertly decorated this venue this evening, and I want to recognize them right now. Deb Rankin, stand up, please. Carol Ranger, please stand up. Crystal Chambers here, Betsy, please stand up. Thank you. Michelle Noah, also assisted, and Tammy Huntington. So, anyways, what a wonderful venue that we came to tonight, and it really set the mood for everything that we're going to be being able to observe. So thank you, gals, for what you did. In your yellow covered program, we have a listing on the inside cover of tonight's 12 inductees. Further, on the next white page, there is a listing of various people that have assisted with the Athletic Hall of Fame, and anything of this magnitude doesn't get done by individuals. It's a sincere team effort. It is something that has been overwhelmingly good. Right from the inception, though, we have had total cooperation from everybody involved. I can think back to October of 2016. I had the privilege of being able to go to the Maroon after High School Athletic Hall of Fame banquet, where my next door neighbors, Arthur and Sandy Maroon, who both are here tonight with us. They invited me to go to the banquet with them, where Sandy's father, the late great Duke Larson, was being inducted into their second class. What a phenomenal experience that was. After going to that Hall of Fame banquet, though, I went up to shake hands with the Maronette Athletic Hall of Fame's Board of Directors, and just showed my sincere appreciation for a job well done. We have a couple of them with us this evening, and George Eiler, if you could just stand, please, or give away. George, we have good I remember at that time I also shook hands with Corey Lankey, the president, and their master of ceremonies, Tim Stiles, was also there. When I shook hands with Tim and showed my appreciation, it came right back at me. Tim shared something with me that was hugely special. And I haven't told this story obviously in public, just to a few friends, but Tim said wherever he has gone in his life, from a coaching or administration standpoint, people have the sincerest appreciation for Maroon athletics, for the Maroon tradition, for the Maroon athletes, for all that we stand for here. And it was his sincere desire that whenever somebody on this side of the river was interested in developing a Hall of Fame or an athletic Hall of Fame, that Tim, along with their board of directors, would assist. And it was one of those things where I just went, really? I just want to say, though, that people from this side of the river, we went and took up that offer. We met with Tim, with their board of directors. They shared information with us, got us in the right direction, and had the fullest desire to see that we became successful. It is with your inspiration and your sincere appreciation for Menominee that we got this going. Thank you from all of us. Once we met with Maroon, though, we needed obviously a number of things to fall into place, and as John has referenced in the narrative in this booklet, we had, I'll just say, total cooperation from the start, from our administration, from the Menominee Board of Education. Everything just seemed to fall into place. You'll notice in the program there's a nominations and selection committee. 50 of the finest Menominee people that we could find have assisted us with the review process, solicitation of nominations. Everything that has needed to be done just seemingly fell into place, and we are so appreciative. So I wanted to share at least the story with Marinette and where we are at this point. As we look in the program, we also have a listing tonight of the 12 inductees and their biographies. And then at the very end of the program, there are additional recognition and accolades along with the financial donors who really contributed some significant money to the Athletic Hall of Fame. However, I need to recognize right now, everybody here tonight was a significant donor. All of the ticket sales have gone towards the development of this banquet, the development of the production of these plaques that will be going to each inductee tonight. We have replica plaques that have been produced, and I want to say that because of the financial donations that we have received, we are able to pay everything properly. And as we speak right now, in the foyer of the Menominee High School gym, there are 3 beautiful display kiosks that will be where the permanent home of the Menominee Athletic or High School Athletic Hall of Fame will be placed, and where the replica plaques, along with future information, will be placed. So we are just so thankful for what has occurred on all aspects. So everybody here, give yourselves a round of applause, and our financial donors, let's give them a round of applause too. Let's see, when I read during the winter, people say I'm dangerous. I have a couple of quotes from my readings this past winter, and I'm going to share both of them with you right now. The first one comes from the foreword to a Bobby Jones, famous golfer, from his biography. And in his foreword, he said, for anyone to gain any sort of fame, it's not enough to do the job. There must be somebody there to spread the news. I want to acknowledge that in our area, both in Marinette and Menominee, we have been blessed with some of the finest sportscasters, sports journalists, broadcasters that our area could ever hope for. People who have routinely spread the news back to us so we could learn what was going on. And without them spreading the news, we're not as informative as we could be or should be, but because of that, we have benefited. Let's give all of those people a My last quote will be from, let's see, I read this book, and it's attributed to the famed basketball coach from North Carolina, basketball fame, Dean Smith. And it simply goes like this. In life, do not be proud in doing the right thing. Just do the right thing. From the very onset of this Hall of Fame, everybody has stepped up and done the right thing. And I've made some further notes here, but isn't that the case with any sports team, any successful athlete? I think they can attribute, and you hear that very commonly when they're paying respects to why they became successful. It was always a theme that's common is they did the right thing. Everybody involved with this Hall of Fame has done the right thing. We thank you for that. So tonight, it is right that we take time to remember and reminisce and to share and celebrate. We should listen and learn. And most importantly, though, we need to pay our respect and give thanks to the 12 inductees that we're going to learn a lot about tonight. And and welcome them in to our newest Maroon family, the Menominee High School Athletic Hall of Fame. Thank you.
Tradition never graduates. Tradition never graduates. That's something we remember tonight. As we go through the process of awarding these people, that there's years and years to come, we'll be doing this again. Tradition never graduates. The nomination process is always open. If you would like to nominate somebody to be inducted into the Hall of Fame, you can do it 24/7, 365. We're open. In fact, I brought a stack of nomination forms around that back table. If you'd like to pick one up on the way out, please do so. Let's begin. Enough of this madness. It's really nice to have this crowd because there's a lot of other things going on tonight. You could have done a number of things other than come here. I mean, it's the prom night. Of all things, we scheduled this banquet 16 months ago. This date. And who would have thought there'd be a conflict like, well, I've already got a word into the sophomore class next year. Schedule your prom on any other date but May the 4th. Because we're doing this again next year, May the 4th. It's also Cinco de Mayo. As everybody knows, Cinco de Mayo is really a celebration of the Mexican people for their role in the Civil War. Did you know that? They're the ones that opened up a blockade to allow the South to receive all sorts of goods. So they were really, in it for the South. Nonetheless, that's the celebration of Cinco de Mayo. It's also college graduation today. It's Packers rookie orientation. I mean, you could have gone down there and watched the rookies. Trump is at Mar-a-Lago, you could have played golf with him. It's also Naked Gardening Day. And aren't you glad you came here this morning? It is Naked Gardening Day. It's my distinct honor, first of all, invite Mr. Bill Jones to come forward. Bill nominated his distant relative, Fred S. Norcross, Jr. Fred Norcross was a 1902 graduate of Menominee High School. He was the quarterback on the young Fielding H. Yost's Michigan Wolverines from 1903 to 1905. During that time, the Wolverines were 33-1-1, winning the national championships in 1903 and 1904, outscoring their opponents 1,627 to 30 during the 03, 04, and 05 seasons. Norky was his nickname. Served as team captain in 1904 and also participated in spring track from 1904 to 1906. He received a BS in engineering from Michigan in 1906 and served as president of the engineering class. He graduated from the Michigan School of Mines in 1908. He also coached at Oregon Agricultural College, which later became Oregon State University, from 1906 through 1908, where his teams finished with a combined 14-4-3 record, winning the unofficial Western United States Championship in 1907. He served in World War I as a major in the U.S. Army 27th Engineers. Norcross had a successful career as a mining engineer in the United States, Canada, Mexico, and Cuba. He was an inaugural inductee into the UP Sports Hall of Fame. It gives me great pleasure at this time to present the Fred S. Norcross plaque to Bill Jones.
Thanks, John. Wow, it's great to see so many people here. I'll keep this short because I know Pat Miller has to talk later. Fred Norcross was my dad's uncle, and we all called him Uncle Junior. And he was a great storyteller, and he used very colorful language when he told the stories. he used words that I was not used to hearing around our house. And so my parents always got very nervous when he started telling stories. But I know that if he were here tonight, he would have some very colorful stories for you to tell, or for you to hear. And he would also be the first to congratulate all his fellow inductees tonight and to give great thanks to the Hall of Fame Board of Directors and to thank all of you for coming here tonight. So with that, I'll say thank you very much. And back to you, John.
Thank you, Bill. I'm going to step back for a moment because I made a grievous error. I began too soon. Earlier this week, I happened to listen to Eric Bergstrom on his radio program, and he had an interview with a famous, well, locally famous personality from the Green Bay area, who's known very well to us, John Maino. And I thought, wow, I wasn't really planning on having a speaker. Well, I did. I lied. I lied to you. I was going to call Jerry Kramer. But I'll tell you what, Jerry Kramer wanted $12,000. All John Maino wanted was a Bud Light. I thought that Jerry accommodated. Do this. I was going to call John up before we did Friends at Work. But I want to invite John up now to share a few thoughts with us. Ladies and gentlemen, please meet Mr. John Maino.
Okay, there we go. That's one bite for you there. Did you and Mark have high school, John?
No, who in high school? Mama Towner.
That explains the screw up. I just want to say it's an actual honor to be here. Thank you so much. Growing up in the UP, the little town of Menominee, it was so cool watching the athletes from Menominee. For whatever reason, some of the greatest athletes we ever had a chance to talk about were from Menominee. I remember my dad talking about the greatest punter he'd ever seen for the Green Bay Packers, a guy by the name of Dick Deschaine. I remember my high school football coach, Dick Koski, talked about a teammate of his at Northern Michigan named Billy Rademacher and how great he was. And I idolized that guy. I remember seeing that picture of Billy Wells with Hollywood starlets. I idolized him. And I remember that basketball team. Man, do I remember going to Hedgecock Fieldhouse and watching that basketball team. Watching them take on our big arch rivals, the Ishpeming Hematites, and knocking them off. And we loved it together. And then following their run downstate, and I mean, those were legendary teams that were playing down there. And then taking on Willow Run and knocking them off. And you gotta remember, and I guess it's this way too, for the big schools from the UP, how tough it was to walk away with a state championship. I mean, that was really amazing with the River Rouges and the Willow Runs and those kind of high school basketball factories. And for the Menominee Maroons to go on down there and just look right in their face and take it to them. I hope you know that's where the first time the term UP Power was ever coined. And it really and truly was, and it carries on to this day. But the thing about Menominee sports is that no matter what town you're from in the UP, you could look at these great athletes who had made it so big and had done so much at whatever level and say to yourself, you know what? Maybe I could do this. Maybe I could do that too. Because people used to put down the UP a little bit and everything, and I just want you to know that what you all did on the athletic fields, the basketball courts, and everywhere else, you gave young athletes throughout the UP so much hope, so much pride, and I know it may have only been high school in some cases. You were heroes to us. You really and truly were. And I'll never forget those things. And then the next year, couldn't get into Hedgecock Fieldhouse because it was sold out. They literally wouldn't let another person in. And I remember watching it on our little black and white TV. Now we had a big TV, but it was broke, okay? But in those days, I don't know about anybody else, you couldn't get rid of a nice piece of furniture like that. That was nice. So you put the small black and white on top of it, okay? So that's what we had. And I remember watching that Hedgecock Fieldhouse, a magical place. So jammed, it was incredible. I remember guys taking the ball out of bounds And people have to move their feet just to get there, just to get the ball out of bounds. And I remember that game against Gladstone. Was it 5 OTs? 5 OTs. And I'll tell you what, there's a guy sitting at my table. And I remember thinking to myself, wow, I hope someday I want to meet him. Because that man hit one of the coolest shots. I mean, LeBron hit a pretty cool one the other night. Michael Jordan had some. But in my mind, none of those top that shot of Dewey Belisle in that ball game. And you don't know how many times from then on, we'd be on the playground and it'd be 3, 2, 1, Belisle! Now, I claimed it, I'll be honest, but it was still such a thrill to have watched that. And I hope high school athletes, even to these, whenever I speak at high schools, I tell them, let me tell you something, don't play for your parents, don't play for your coaches, play for the kids watching you. Because you have no idea what an impact and how important it is what you're doing and how you act and how that's going to carry over for those kids for the rest of their lives. And I've done a lot of banquets, I've been around a lot of quote-unquote big-time sports guys, but I feel every bit as humbled and privileged and honored to be in this room amongst you people as absolutely anyone I've ever done. So thank you all so very much for inviting me.
It's true what they say about those guys from Inaugural. They act as if they know everybody. And they usually do, especially if they're Italian. This next gentleman we're going to honor, I remember solely as one thing that he did. He worked the chain gang on the sidelines for, I don't know, 30 plus years. I never met the guy, but I certainly knew his reputation. And at this time, I'm going to ask that Nancy Fawcett and Bill Schwanz come forward. Now, this is Francis Tallent. Francis Tallent grew up during the early years of high school football. He watched as a boy those players who performed gridiron feats in primitive uniforms and shabby equipment. He was a member of the 1929 Point-A-Minute football squad, one of the greatest teams in school history, and the leader on an 8-0 team that averaged 50.5 points per game. The Barney McCann coached Maroons scored 404 points while giving up only 12 during the 8-game season. He scored 27 touchdowns that year, scoring 54 points in one game. In a 150-0 victory over Kingsford, he scored 9 touchdowns and ran for 588 yards, doing it in only 2 quarters. The first and the third. In an Armistice Day M&M game, he scored 4 touchdowns and gained 280 yards in a lopsided 49-0 victory. Following his high school career, Tallent worked as a surveyor and then entered Jordan College in Menominee on a football scholarship. Because of a knee injury, he never played college ball. He worked his way up to the ladder at Lloyd Manufacturing Company, beginning in 1935, becoming the mail order department foreman in 1960. He was active in community organizations and served as president of the Menominee Recreation Department, running the city's summer and winter recreation programs. He went on to coach youth football and was a longtime member of the Walton Bleshfield chain gang, serving in that position for many years. He's a member of the UP Sports Hall of Fame. At this time, Mr. Schwanz, who nominated Mr. Tallent, will present the plaque to his daughter, Nancy Fawcett.
All of you on behalf of my dad. He loved the Menominee Maroons. He tried out for the team in the 9th grade, but was told that he was too small. He didn't make the team, but that didn't stop him. He tried out the next year and made the team. He was on the 1929 point-a-minute team and averaged a point a minute. Later, he coached grade school football for St. John's. How he loved coaching the young players. As a child, I sat on his knee watching him make up all the plays. Dad loved being on what he called the chain gang. He considered it a privilege to carry the down box at the games. My dad would be so proud and so honored to receive this award. Thank you.
I'd like to call forward now at this time Mrs. Vicki Belanger and Larry Ebsch. Richard Deschaine was a three-sport athlete at Menominee High School, excelling in football, basketball, and baseball. He played in the M&M Industrial Basketball League and the M&M Fast Pitch Softball. Following graduation, in 1949, he joined the Marines rather than entering college, and later worked for the Ansel Company. Deschaine was a pass receiver and a punter for the M&M Hornets of the Wisconsin State Football League. In 1955, his punting skills drew the attention of then Green Bay Packers head coach Lyle Blackburn, who signed Deschaine to a contract following a brief workout. It was rare to be a specialist in the NFL during the middle 50s. He averaged 43.2 yards per punt in 1955. His longest punt measured 73 yards, which was a long-standing Packers record. During his NFL career, he played with some league notables, including Bart Starr, Billy Houghton, Al Carmichael, Fred Cohn, Forrest Gregg, and others. In Cleveland, he played with the great Jim Brown and Lou Groza. During his years in the NFL, he punted 231 times for 9,777 yards. It's nearly 6 miles. He finished second in the league in punting in 1956, averaging over 40 yards per punt. He often came back in Menominee to appear at local functions. In 1976, Green Bay fans voted Deschaine as the punter on the all-time modern era team, which included several Packer stars from the 50s and the 60s. Dick Deschaine was also inducted into the UP Sports Hall of Fame in 1976. Mr. Miller, could I have Dick Deschaine's plaque? Oh, thank you. I should stand.
Thank you so much for this incredible recognition. My brother and my sister and I graciously accept this award on behalf of our dad. To be 87 years old and still to be recognized into the first of class Athletic Hall of Fame is pretty special. He had quite the Cinderella story, as you may know. Small town boy goes pro. But he will always tell you that his fondest memories were of his times at Menominee High School. He wanted me to mention this big M&M game that everybody's aware about in 1949. That one in particular he wanted me to tell you about. Larry probably remembers this one. 34-7, Maroons. He was very proud of that. He's also very pleased to know that the victory bells still ring out after every single win. So thank you, Menominee High School. Thank you, everybody involved, for displaying our dad's plaque with pride. As a reminder that our dad was one of your greats and made a difference. Thank you.
At this time, I'd like to call forward to the podium Dave Boyd and Rhonda Hansen. Rhonda is the niece of Richard Red Lacousiere. I'm sure there isn't a student athlete in this room doesn't remember Red and what he offered to the kids of Menominee. Richard Red Lacousiere was a lifelong resident of Menominee. A bachelor, he devoted his entire life serving the children of the area as both coach and friend. A devout Catholic, he attended Mass regularly and deferred from being in the spotlight. Well, he hated the spotlight. He played basketball in high school for Coach Mickey McCormick, was also active in late team football. He was a successful pitcher in the Twin Cities softball league during the summer. He coached grade school football and basketball in the late 1940s, a program started by McCormick and one that is still flourishing today. Red spent 60 years coaching and volunteering with area youth. He built the American Legion baseball program from the ground up, spending countless hours grooming Spies Field for play. For many years, he also served as a Major League Baseball scout. Red, along with Baltimore Orioles scout Lou D'Annunzio and Detroit Tiger Hall of Fame pitcher Hal Newhouser, held free baseball schools in Menominee for a few years. Red coached basketball as early as the 1940s and was an assistant coach for Coach Owen Peterson back in the early 80s. For many of his players, he was a father figure. He was generous to a fault, oftentimes buying balls, bats, and gloves for his players and taking them for ice cream after games. True to his nature, Red was a very tolerant man and a mentor to many up until the last years of his life. Red is enshrined in the UP Sports Hall of Fame. Tonight, Dave Boyd, who was nominated man, will present the plaque to his niece, Rhonda Hanson.
Thank you. First, I'd just like to say thank you to everyone who helped make this dream a reality. It turned out spectacular. I would also like to thank Dave Boyd, who nominated my uncle for this honor. I know Red would have been proud and honored to be associated with this fine group of athletes. I was asked to say a few words about how sports impacted his life. But you know, I don't think sports was a part of my uncle's life. Sports was his life. As a child, I can remember watching him sitting at his desk for what seemed like hours, and he was playing with his bottle caps. And if anybody knows what his bottle caps were, they were his offensive and defensive players, and he was strategizing about his next game. Well, as a young child, I thought that was the most fascinating toy ever, and I wanted those bottle caps. So after he passed away, I found a couple of bottle caps that he had. In the early days, when he was playing, and even later when he was coaching, kids like Dave and Garrett, and the hundreds of other kids that he coached along the way, what I found fascinating were the friendships that were formed, and they maintained all through his life. About 10 years before he passed away, I remember one day he came home and he was like, "Ronnie," he said, "I got some bad news from the doctor." And I said, "Oh no, what was it?" And he said, "The doctor told me I can't slide into the bases anymore." So he really thought his career was over. How was he going to coach those kids if he couldn't teach them how to slide? Well, Red being Red found a way. And he continued to coach for a few more years. And you know, no matter where life took those kids, whenever they came home to Menominee, they always made it a point to stop in and see how Coach was doing. And I think that's what sports was all about for Red. Thank you.
At this time, I'd like to ask that Harry Bolangi and once again Bill Jones come forward to the podium. I don't think it's any underestimation. Billy Wells is probably known as the most widely known, famous athlete to graduate from Menominee High School. He played halfback on the 1947 and 48 football teams that finished 14-2 and won mythical UP championships. In 1948, he scored 9 touchdowns, including a 60-yard catch for a score in a 34-7 Maroon victory in the M&M game. He also played basketball on a 1948-49 team that tied the school record 10 consecutive wins. He was also a sprinter on the Maroon track team. After graduation in 1949, he became a 3-year starter in the pony backfield on Coach Clarence Biggie Munn's Michigan State Spartans, tops in the Big Ten that year. He led the underdog Spartans to a 28-20 victory in the 1950 Rose Bowl, where he scored 2 touchdowns, including a 62-yard punt return, earning him the title of the game's most valuable player. This parlayed Wells several dates with movie star Debbie Reynolds, as well as an appearance on the Ed Sullivan Show in New York City. Selected in the 5th round of the 1954 NFL Draft by the Washington Redskins, he also played for the Pittsburgh Steelers, the Philadelphia Eagles, and ended his career with a 1-year stay on the Boston Patriots in 1960. He still holds the Redskins team record with the longest run from scrimmage at 88 yards. Billy had over 2,100 combined rushing and receiving yards in the NFL. After football, Billy formed a Dixieland band, Billy's Bachelors, and enjoyed a brief acting career. Billy's a member of the UP Sports Hall of Fame. Tonight, his good friend, Harry Belangi, will accept the award on Bill's behalf.
First of all, I'd like to congratulate all the inductees tonight, and thank you to the committee for asking me to represent Billy. I first remember Billy when I was a sophomore in high school, 10th grade, in 1954. Billy came to school with the film of the Rose Bowl game. And it was black and white, of course, and there was no audio, so he had narrated. Whenever he made a touchdown, he said, "What are the 6 more points to the Spartans?" And as the game progressed, he said, "There's number 14, missing another tackle." All through the film, he never once said "R." I thought that was great. Well, anyway, I went to Los Angeles, Manhattan Beach in 1970. It was 48 years ago. And every Mother's Day and my mother's birthday, I go to this flower shop. It's my mother flowers. And one time, a little girl behind the counter said, "Oh, that's from Menominee." I said, "Oh, what's his name?" She said, "Billy Wells." I said, "Well, no, all the people, of course." And anyway, as the years went past, I went there, and sometimes she was there, sometimes she wasn't. And then finally, one day she said, "I told my dad you were in town. He'd like to see you." They're kidding me. Here's a guy that's up there, all kinds of awards and everything. You know, more citations and plaques than I got hair in my head. They want to see me for getting out with all the elite in the Beverly Hills and Hollywood. But Scotty said, no, he would like to see it. He's not that way. So we got together. And after how he does and everything, I asked him, "Does anybody still call you Scooter?" And he laughed. He said, "Where do you hear that from?" Well, when I was in the Army in 1956, talking to a guy that played for the Spartans the same year as that Billy did. And he said, we called him Scooter, which is no big thing. Well, anyway, I got together with Billy maybe 10 or 12 times in the course of 5 or 6 years. And losing my train of thought here. But he's just a nice guy to be around. And a few weeks ago, I called up the flower shop where Scotty used to work. It was 48 years ago, and she's still working there. So I spoke to her, and we talked a little bit, and I asked her, I said, "You know your dad was called Scooter in college?" And she laughed, and that's what my father called me when I was a little girl. So that's where she got that from. Well, anyway, I talked to her and I told her about the event, and I said, nice if you could make it. You know, she's going to away, or is there now, I guess. But anyway, so she gave me her address and everything. So the first thing Monday, so she'll be in the post office, going to where it belongs. Thank you so much.
George Eiler, please come forward. Larry Ebsch, one more time. Larry Ebsch is a lifelong resident of the city of Menominee. Save for the 14 months that he served as an Army medic during the Korean War. He was a 1949 graduate of Menominee High School. It's pretty special. I've got a picture at home, the basketball team. In that picture, Larry Ebsch, Billy Wells, and Dick Deschaine, all in one picture. He was a 1949 grad. He participated in football, basketball, and track through the junior varsity programs until health issues put an end to his playing days. He became the team statistician in football, basketball, also serving as the sports editor of the Maroon News, a weekly student publication, and wrote about his beloved Maroons. He was an unpaid news correspondent for the Menominee Herald-Leader for 4 years, covering the original M&M Hornets in the Wisconsin State Football League, the M&M Fast Pitch Softball League, and the M&M Industrial League Basketball League. His newspaper career began as a sports writer for the Herald-Leader in 1955, continued with the Eagle Star in 1961, continues today with the Eagle Herald, a run of 63 years. He was president of the former Upper Peninsula Sports Writers Association and president of the UP Sports Hall of Fame Council. Larry served as president of the Menominee Baseball Indians, the Babe Ruth League in Menominee, the Menominee City Rec Commission, the Dar Boys and Girls Club, and the Menominee Boxing Club. He, along with Red Lacousiere, promoted Silver Sluggers baseball schools with Milwaukee Brave Scouts in the late 1950s. Larry is at present a weekly featured writer with his historical bylines column in the Eagle Herald. Nobody bleeds maroon more than Larry Ebsch.
I'm a writer, not an orator, so this will be short. I've been so privileged in all these years to be written about so many wonderful athletes, coaches, teams, individuals, and not only the individuals that are the stars of the team, but those that come out to practice every night and make the first team. You know, the regulars a lot better ball players. It was just a great thing, and I'm so honored, so humbled, and so grateful to be here tonight to accept this award. You know, somebody asked me one time how long I've been playing football, and I said 1892, same as Mayor then. And they said, well, wow, that's amazing. I said, well, there's one thing better than that. Menominee still uses the same offense. So anyway, John, today, we did such a magnificent job, and all the other inductees here tonight. It's just a great, great honor. Thank you so much.
When I called Larry on the phone last fall and told him that he was going to be inducted, there was 15 minutes of dead air. That's not a word. I said, Larry, are you still there? She said, John, I'm speechless. And they call me Windy. That's all I do. Owen Peterson, would you come forward, please? Ken Hofer. Al Pomeroy has a nice story about you, Ken. Each one goes around. He may share it with others, but
3 words.
Ken Hofer spent 41 years as the head coach of the Menominee football Maroons. A native of Stevenson, Ken played football at the University of Wisconsin, graduating in 1957. A stint in the Army took him to Germany, where he met his wife, Millie. In 1959, he worked as an export representative for Wilson Sporting Goods. In 1964, he returned to the United States, where he began his teaching and coaching career in his hometown of Stevenson. He began his coaching career in Menominee in 1966. In 1971, he relinquished his coaching duties to become an administrator, returning to coaching in 1975. As principal, athletic director, and head coach, he made the best of declining enrollment by scheduling and competing with some of the toughest schools in Michigan, Wisconsin, and Minnesota. Ken retired as principal in 1996, but went on to coach the Maroons for another 15 years. In that time span, his teams won the Division V state championship 3 times. Ken retired from coaching in 2011. He's amassed quite a list of accomplishments, including a record of 320 wins to 129 losses, 22 playoff appearances, 3 state titles, 8 regional titles, 15 Barber trophies, symbolic of the top UP football team, and has been inducted into the UP Sports Hall of Fame, the Michigan High School Coaches Hall of Fame, and the National Single Wing Hall of Fame. He's also received the prestigious Duffy Doherty Award. Coach Kenneth.
I wrote a speech, but no one else stood up there with a speech, so I put it in my pocket. Anyway, Larry Ebsch was very instrumental in my coming to Menominee many years ago. Just wanted to mention that. When I look back at my career, which started back in 1964 in Stevenson, and then came here in 1966 until 2011. Fantastic years for me, and hopefully for the young men and the one lady I had the privilege to coach with, or coach for. Interesting that we had one lady play for us. She stuck out the whole year, even played the M&M game. It was quite an accomplishment for that young lady. But I'd like to congratulate all of the inductees who are great athletes, a great team, and great contributors like Larry Ebsch. It's a real pleasure for me and a rare experience to have the opportunity to be a member of the inaugural class of the Menominee High School Hall of Fame. I'd like to just mention a few things, and of course thank some people, which would be the community of Menominee, and my wife, who it's tough being a coach's wife, and thank her for her perseverance in all those years. I'd like just to reminisce a little bit about 2001, what high school sports is all about. At Walton Blesh Field, we had an M&M game in late October. It was a beautiful sunny day. The stadium bleachers were full. The cement bleachers were full. The student bleachers that were behind the coaching players, they were full. I hope they put the bleachers back there these days. And at each end, there was bleachers that were set up for the band from Maryland, the band from Menominee, plus other students. It was a beautiful sunny day. You couldn't ask for something any better. And to start with, the 2 teams lined up from the 30-yard line, from 30-yard line to 30-yard line, walked out to the center of the field, each shook each other's hands, and then went back to their respective sidelines. It was one of the great all-time M&M games. In that game, the score shifted back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and at halftime, each team already had scored 5 touchdowns. In the second half, it was a continuation. and the 8th game ended with the Maroons winning 58-54, and probably one of the most exciting high school football games I was ever a part of. We have several members of that squad in this room who played in that game. But that's what high school sports is about. The fans, the cheerleaders, the bands, the players, all out there giving their best, and the fans that are supporting them. I also want to mention the gentleman who was seated with me at my table, Satch Ingram. Satch is our defensive coordinator from 1975 until I retired. He's like my right arm, and I was like his left arm. We worked well together, and when I look at the teams I played in 2006, 2007, and in 1998, it was his defenses that really were a big part of the Maroon victory. I have to also thank all of the many coaches who worked with us throughout the year, from freshmen through the varsity. I had nothing but great coaches, and that really is the foundation of the success that we had. A couple of memories from some of those games. I'll never forget the great run by Byarski for a touchdown on a punt return in the 1998 championship game. This was an unbelievable play. It still ranks as one of the great runs of all time in the annals of Michigan football sports. Also, excuse me, the Menominee Maroon team of 2006 played 5 playoff games, gave up 1 touchdown in the 5 games. And that was scored in the championship game by Madison Heights. And all the 4 previous games, nobody scored. And that is a tribute to the young men who played football to the last inch of their strength, and to the coaching staff that we had, led by Satch and the defensive unit. It was a pleasure. Another thing that they mentioned, we had to play football games. Well, we played Wasaya, Minnesota High School, with grades 10 through 12, at 3,000 students. And we had a bus and we'll travel. So we went out there. They were ranked number 2 in the state of Minnesota. The final score was 33-6 in favor of the Maroons. Great win. But this is the type of players that we get from Menominee, and the effort that these young people put forward so that they can be successful. And hopefully, what they learn on the football field, that they take a little bit with them into the rest of their life. And once again, thank you for being allowing me to be the coach for so many years.
I'd like to invite Gene Stegman and Mr. Tom Bangston to please come forward. Mr. Bangston is a very close friend of the recently departed Billy Rademacher. If you're from Menominee, you know who Billy Rademacher was. Bill Rademacher is arguably one of the greatest athletes to compete at Menominee High School. Graduating in 1960, he was the quarterback on Coach John Knispel's Maroons. He earned 12 major letters and was the recipient of the Barbara Silverthorne Award. He was a walk-on at Northern Michigan University, and through hard work, earned a spot on the team. He won 4 letters under Coach F.L. Prescott, receiving the MVP award in 1963. He caught 29 passes for 572 yards while setting a school record that year, breaking all pass receiving records for the Wildcats. Bill signed with the New York Jets as a free agent and won a backup spot as a receiver, but gained much notoriety as a member of the special teams. Go to Google and Google up the 1969 Super Bowl. Watch the opening kickoff. Bill played in that game. He made the very first tackle on the opening kickoff of the game. Bill played 5 seasons with the Jets, 3 with the Patriots. Rademacher coached at Xavier University in Ohio in 1973, returned to his alma mater, NMU, in 1974 as offensive coordinator. The Wildcats won the NCAA Division II championship in 1975, and in 1978, Bill was named NMU head coach, racking up a 37-16 record and taking the team to NCAA 2 quarterfinals and 1 semifinal game. Bill was hired by George Perlis at Michigan State University in 1983, where he coached 3 positions. After winning the Big Ten championship in 1987, the Spartans beat Southern Cal in the Rose Bowl 20-17. Bill was inducted into the UP Sports Hall of Fame in 1983. Mr. Tom Benson is going to receive the award on behalf of Billy Rademacher.
Given what's happened here this evening, I just unloaded my 15-page notes to my wife for my speech. So I want to reduce it considerably. It was an honor to Bill. In preparation for the New York Jet tryout, Bill hitchhiked daily down to Green Bay to work out with the Packers. And it was his job to defend Boyd Gallagher, who was an all-pro. And the passer to Boyd Gallagher at that time was Bart Starr. So he had a pretty good introduction into the pros. At the conclusion of this informal process, and his departure to the New York Jet workout, Phil Bankston, not related to me, but my same last name, approached Bill and said, if things don't work out for you in New York, give us a call and we'll pay for you to come back here to work out for the Pats. And Bill remembered many times that what a tremendous confidence booster this was to have Phil Bankston tell him that he was going to try out for the back. He was that impressed with Phil's effort. Now, Mariucci, who is a broadcaster on the NFL, he played quarterback for Bill when Bill was quarterback coach at NMU. And he tried out for the Canadians football team. It did not work out. So he was left without a job anywhere. And he called a guy by the name of Rademacher, who was a head coach at Northern. He said, can I have a job? He said, come on down. And it worked out. So Mariucci owes Phil big time for giving him the job without any hesitation. So there have been a lot of people who've been very helpful to Bill, and he has helped. And Coach Noah, Menominee current coach, invited Bill to speak to the team, the Maroons, for the night before the M&M game, which was so important to Bill. And invariably, he said, play your hearts out, because you're going to wear this the rest of your life. You're going to wear it the rest of your life, and you've got to play hard. Larry Ebsch, as many people have already expressed, with his bylines, his interest in Bill, especially when he was sick. It's a godsend. So I thank you for that. And I'm almost done here. Bill was coached as a young player by Francis Tallent, one of the inductees here tonight, in football, and in baseball it was Red Lacousiere. So he appreciated their efforts in helping him. So I think that's pretty much it. Thank you.
Bob Krishat, come forward, please. Pat Miller. Without question, Pat Miller made his mark in local sports history as a standout basketball player, but was also an excellent football player. He was an all-state in both sports, the all-time career scoring leader in basketball, and he led the 1967 boys basketball team to the state championship. Miller lettered in both basketball and football at Michigan State University, where he was co-captain of the basketball team. He later played professionally for 3 years in the Continental Basketball Association and had a successful coaching career for over 40 years. He was an assistant coach at MSU from 1972 to 1976 and head coach and assistant athletic director at Northwood University from 1976 until 1991, where his 1987 team captured the district NAIA championship, and he was named Coach of the Year. From 1988 to 1989, he was a shooting coach for the Detroit Pistons. In 1992 through 1996, Pat was an assistant coach at Midland Dow High School. From 1996 to 1997, an assistant coach at Eastern Michigan University, the head coach at Kirtland Community College from 1999 to 2000, and from 2006 to 2012, an assistant coach at Rufus King High School and at Central Michigan University, respectively. He currently owns a basketball consulting company where he conducts shooting clinics, camps, and individual instruction all over the country. Pat was inducted into the UP Sports Hall of Fame in 1988. Appreciate the honors, please.
They're giving me the microphone. I just want you to make a note who was handing those awards.
Everybody sit back.
I want you to make a note who was handing those awards to Mr. Willis this whole time. If you accuse me of never giving you an assist. Hard to believe. You know, a couple of remarks before I start my thanks. Some of you probably do know the last gentleman who spoke, Tom Bates. Some of you don't. He's a Menominee person. Actually grew up across the street from me. He was the Ingham County prosecutor in Lansing, Michigan, assistant prosecutor for a long time. I'm sure he showed no such compassion to his defendants as he showed to Mr. Rademacher tonight. He was a dear friend, a supporter, and somebody really, Bill, would not have survived the last years of his life without that kind of compassion and friendship. That's a Hall of Fame guy. Right there. The thing about a Hall of Fame is, are they a Hall of Fame or are they a Hall of Recognition? They're snapshots in time in some cases, like our championship team, and in some cases it's a recognition of a sustained passion and contribution over a length of time, like certainly Coach Hofer or Coach Krishat right there. The opportunity presents itself to highlight that passion and that commitment and skill in a way. You have a moment or moments, and everybody shares in that pride and that excitement. And certainly in this room, my father came here 1943. Thought it was Lower Michigan. He thought he was going to Lower Michigan. When he took the interview, he thought it was in Lower Michigan. He didn't know there was an Upper Michigan. He came here long before I was here, brought my brother Mike, my sister Kathy's over here. My father was a great teacher and coach. Many of you had him in this room as such, and he was a great mentor to me. Always kept me grounded, which was not an easy thing, Mr. Jones, as you know. You know, my really first item, my dad would talk about these players. I delivered papers to Mr. Norcross to point them out. He talked about Francis Tallent, of course. Mr. Tallent would be on the sideline barking at us as the game was going on. You'd go Rademacher. Emil Ponto's not in this Hall of Fame yet, but he might be. I always loved that name. Emil Ponto. Billy Wells, long before I went to Michigan State, he was a Michigan State legend. My dad was a Big Ten guy, and I got the opportunity to play in the Big Ten, but my first real idol was my brother, Mike. I couldn't break his record, 52 points in one game. He went on to play at Wisconsin, and so that kind of set the pace. And there's so many people to thank in a situation like this that come along the way I've done before. We were honored as a team a little while back, we had our 50-year reunion, and a lot of people contribute along the way. And I think Coach Hofer highlighted that, as did a lot of these other inductees. And it's great to be a part of it. I've been fortunate to continue coaching and being involved in athletics after playing in Menominee. I've been all over this country. Every place I've been, the first and biggest highlight has been from Menominee. Been on that state championship team. And from a place that there's not that many places left in this country, like the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. Even if you do just got to go a little bit across the border to be in northern Wisconsin. It's a different place. So thanks a lot. Bill, that was less than 5 minutes. I hope you can appreciate it.
How many of you remember Fritz, Pat's dad? Fritz, here's a short story about Fritz, my favorite Fritz Miller story. There was a kid in class one time was committing the grievous crime of chewing gum. That was a no-no in Fritz's class. No-no. So Fritz walked over to this young man, picked him up on the back of the neck and the bottom of his shirt, turned him upside down in front of the wastebasket and said, "Spit it out." Good story. I'd like to have Dale Van Duinen and Sid Wells come forward. Sid Wells has come a long way from her first experiences as a young girl putting at Riverside Golf Club. Following her older brother Carter around the links at Riverside, her parents entered her into the Riverside Junior Golf program. When Title IX came along, Sid played high school basketball and joined the Maroon golf team. Rising from these humble beginnings, she became a fierce competitor, including a run at the LPGA Tour. Sid walked on to the golf program at Michigan State University, where she was honored as the Spartans Woman Golfer of the Decade, 1982 to 1992. The Spartans, during her tenure, won 17 titles, including the 1982 Big Ten Championship. She is an 11-time Upper Peninsula Ladies Golf Association champion, including 5 title crowns from 1998 to 2002, and 4 straight championships from 2007 to 2010. She missed qualifying for the LPGA by 1 stroke twice back in the 1980s. She was named Wisconsin State Golf Association Player of the Year and Senior Player of the Year on 2 occasions. She also won the Women's Senior UP Championship in 2014, and she won the Wisconsin State Match Play Championship in 2015. She was inducted into the Upper Peninsula Sports Hall of Fame in 2002. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Sid Wells.
First of all, thank you for that warm welcome. Many thanks to the Hall of Fame committee that I know done such a diligent job trying to create the inaugural class. It's probably a thankless job, I would think. It'd be very, very challenging. A labor of love, right. And I'd also like to thank the family and friends that are gathered here this evening. Appreciate y'all coming. Also a huge congratulations to all those being honored. Glad to see there's so many fellow Spartans in the room. Wasn't quite aware of that, but that's always a good thing. Go green. One of the main reasons I'm here this evening is because of this little white golf ball. It equals a passion in my life. I'd like to share a small quote from Bobby Jones. Golf is usually played with the outward appearance of great dignity. It is, nevertheless, a game of considerable passion, either of the explosive type or that which burns inwardly and sears the soul. I think that quote kind of rings true for me. That ball has a lot of power. Sometimes it goes straight and far. Other times it goes awry, much to one's frustration. I think the game of golf is similar to that of life. Sometimes it can be so simple, but other times it can certainly be maddening. And I'm sure many of us can relate to that. I spent a lot of time here at Riverside. It's very nice to be able to come to the club and be honored this evening. When I was inducted to the Wisconsin State Golf Hall of Fame, we actually did the ceremony in Green Bay instead of making everybody drive all the way to the Great White North of Menominee. So it's kind of nice to do it here. Met many fascinating people along the way. Got a lot of great friends. Been to a lot of cool places. It's been a great ride. Hope it's not over yet. Had many people that helped me along the way. Too many to mention this evening. But a lot of you know who you are and appreciate all your support. I'm very thankful for everything that's come my way and for all those that assisted. And in closing, I would just like to say cheers to all those being honored tonight for pursuing the passion that you so earned and desired. Thanks.
I would like to have, once again, Bob Prescott come forward and Tiffany Hodge Gilbert. Tiffany Hodge Gilbert was a phenomenally gifted athlete on the track and field for Menominee High School. A 1995 graduate, Gilbert was a 4-year letter winner in basketball, gymnastics, and track. Her hurdle form was unforgettably smooth. She was a 4-time UP champion in the 100-meter high hurdles, a 3-time champ in the 300-meter low hurdles, setting records in the UP finals in the 100 and 300 hurdles. She was also an all-Great Northern Conference basketball player and a regular on the gymnastics team as well. After earning Most Valuable Female Athlete honors and receiving the Barbara Silverthorne Trophy, Gilbert graduated as the salutatorian of her class. Gilbert was a 4-year varsity letter winner at the University of Michigan, where she competed in the 100 hurdles and the 400 hurdles, as well as the long jump and heptathlon. Her teams won 2 Big Ten indoor championships, 1 Big Ten outdoor title. Her career best time in the 100 hurdles was an amazing 14.2 seconds. She long jumped 18.5 feet. She earned academic all Big Ten honors 3 times and was a member of the U of M Industrial Engineering Honor Society. She was on the Dean's List and won Michigan's Scholar Athlete Award all 4 years. After college, she moved to Vermont. She serves as an assistant track coach at Essex High School and has helped her team win 6 Division I boys state titles and 9 girls state championships. I give you Tiffany Hodge.
Thank you. Wasn't quite prepared to give a speech, so I'm just going to be really quick. I am humbled to be here tonight. It was an honor and a privilege to find out that I was nominated with all these other amazing inductees. sport is just one. I think to make a good athlete, you need a team. And I was fortunate enough that my team was amazing. It included several student athletes that were behind me 100% as I was them. It included some very patient coaches that allowed me to stay very late every day after practice. I realize how important time is now being a coach and a mother, and I appreciate the time that they gave me. It also includes a community, and without all of you and the community of Menominee, I wouldn't be where I am today or who I am today. And I'd also like to thank my family because they were a huge part of my success and always behind me. So my mom, Greta, who is probably my loudest cheerleader, and my dad, Jim, who passed away a few years ago, but he was my mentor, my teacher, probably my best friend. Picked me up every time I fell, both figuratively and literally off the ground. Those hurdles took me out a few times. So thank you to all of my family and friends. And I just want to say continue being the amazing community that you are, because that is where you're going to get these student athletes, and that's who you're going to get into these future induction classes. And you guys are doing what you're doing, and it's working because we are producing some amazing athletes. So thank you.
I'd like to have Bill Jones and Fred Matz please come forward. These guys are coming off the heels of the 50th anniversary celebration of their state championship win last year. I don't have to say any of this because you know it already. The Menominee High School varsity basketball team led by young coach Bob Prescott did something in 1967 that no team in Menominee's history had ever done: win a state championship. Going into the tournament, the Maroons' record was 6-10. They suffered the loss of a starting forward midway through the season, had to forfeit games because of a rules violation, and weren't expected to garner any postseason honors. Their lineup featured 2 sophomores and a junior, and they were the underdogs in all 7 of the away tournament games. They began district play by defeating Kingsford, followed by Iron Mountain. The Maroons won the regional crown after defeating Ironwood and Ishpeming at Northern Michigan University. Fred cut the net down from that northern victory, and it's hanging over there between 2 of the mirrors. I couldn't think of a good place to put it, so I stuck it there. Menominee became the first team in Menominee to win the UP honors in the then 54-year history of the tournament. In downstate action, Menominee went on to beat heavily favored Standish Sterling, followed by Lansing O'Rafferty on St. Patrick's Day, and Ypsilanti Willow Run the following Saturday morning to win the state championship. Randy Demeuse is going to present the plaque to the co-captains, Mr. Matz and Mr. Jones.
We'd like to have Coach Prescott come up here. If we're going to do something like this, we want our coach, Hodge. He's a pretty emotional guy, and I found over the years it's starting to rub off on us.
Will everybody on the team please stand up? I don't know how many of you are here, but anybody who's on the team, please stand up.
And they say if you're on blood pressure medication, you cry a lot more, and so I'm going to try to get through this. I was going to, like Bill, I was going to dish Pat Miller tonight, but I looked at what I had to say, and my wife says, don't say that. So I'm going to forego that and shorten this up just a little bit. Of course, our day is long past, over 50 years now. And when you think about some of the other guys, you go back even further. So no more baseline jumpers from Dewey Blau. No more clutch free throws from Cubby Johnson, who now wants to be called Bob Johnson. And no more Jenison Fieldhouse standing ovations from Pat Miller. But those are great moments, ladies and gentlemen, ones that we'll never forget. And sometimes in the course of an event like this, or we milk this championship to death. I think this is it. I think this is the last time. But it's been great. But the question is, what's it feel like to win a state championship? And we're kind of like, we kind of broke the mold there a little bit, because at least we let people, future teams from Menominee, know that it was possible. There was an old song in the 1960s, The Impossible Dream. And for us, winning a championship was just that. It was an impossible dream. And it's kind of, if you listen to that song, I know John's a big song lyric guy, to dream the impossible dream, to fight the unbeatable foe, to try when your arms are too weary, to run where the brave dare not go. So, you know, that's another thing about going last, you know, a lot of people stole some of our material. When you think about a dream, you know, our dream became a reality. And it was a great time. And it was kind of like a Hallmark movie. You know, there's always some conflict and some controversy along the way, but in the end, it all works out. And that's the way it was for our team. So I want to thank the Hall of Fame committee for this tribute. I mean, when you think about the Hall of Fame, the past is important, and legacies of excellence are worth being preserved. So I hope we never have a statute of limitations on excellence in this country, because if we do, we're in big trouble. But again, thank you, Hall of Fame committee. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for remembering a bunch of kids from Menominee in 1967.
That, ladies and gentlemen, was a wrap. Thank you all for coming. Again, all the basketball players, all the other inductees, please report to the back dining room where Mr. Hyde will be taking your photo. Before you do anything else, do that, get over there and get that done so you can come over here and have some fun. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for being a part of our